How's it going, everybody? I'm doing a what I've been playing video here today. I've got two games here. One's going to be a little bit of a review as well. Just a quick one. I did another review of this game on my other channel. But that first game here that I completed now is Silent Hill 2, the Silent Hill 2 remake. This is the PS5 one. This is also on Steam. I loved it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I had a couple of little gripes with it, but overall it was fantastic. You know, Bloober Team really nailed the tone of the original and the kind of feeling of dread at parts. And like, you know, this is one of those games where it's like, I want to keep playing. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to play again. Part of me is also dreading playing it just because they do it so well, where it's creepy and the sound design is fantastic in this game. It's just like the original, you know, and a lot of the sounds are the same. I think they just straight up pulled a lot of the sounds from the original. And there's some remade. Some of the songs are obviously remade in here as well. But you had people from, like, Akira Yamaoka is here, and I forget the other guy's name again. Something Ito, I think. A couple of people from the original are here as well, so that helps, of course. You know, that you already have the story right there. It's a fantastic story. I thought some of the cutscenes were better in the original, especially the one, or specifically the one when you first come across Pyramid Head and he's in the apartment and he's violating those mannequins. Or that's what he's supposed to be doing. I think the creator of the original one was like, no, he's not doing that, even though it's exactly what he looks like he's doing. But that one was better. I think in the original, you just walk in the room and all of a sudden you see him doing that, and you book it into the closet. In this one, you walk into the room. You can actually go into the kitchen first. There's nothing there. And you go to grab something, and all of a sudden a mannequin falls to the ground, like stumbles and falls, and then all of a sudden Pyramid Head's in the room, in the kitchen, like what he materialized out of thin air. It's not poorly done, but I thought that one was better in the original. A few of the cutscenes I think were better in the original, but they were not bad in this remake. I thought they were better but some were also better in this one, I think, than in the original. So that's not really a gripe. That's just kind of. I didn't hate those cutscenes that, in my opinion, weren't as good or impactful as the original, but I just figured I'd say it. And there's a few parts, I think I might have mentioned it maybe in another video on here, in the Impressions video. Yes, where there's especially in the Otherworld Hospital is where they threw a ton of enemies at you, and there definitely are more enemies overall in this game, thankfully, because I was reading like the prison was going to be a nightmare, but it was not at all, actually, like, because some spoilers here. The mannequins will now climb up the walls in the prison in this one, which they did not do in the original, to my knowledge. But overall, the prison was excellent. It was creepy as hell, but that didn't really bother me too much. And it was a little more open. Like, if you're not going into cells themselves, a lot of the prison was at least open enough where you could book it. And you like pull these things to get some light. You got to pull a thing, and you're on a timer. The lights go on in the hall on a timer and stuff, because it's very dark in there, even with the light. Realistically, that was probably the creepiest part in the original, the creepiest area for me, at least, was the prison. Like I said, there are more enemies, and they're almost unavoidable in the Otherworld prison because they're just everywhere. You can't, but like when you're out in the world, the Silent Hill itself, the town, when you're actually in the town, running around, not in a building, you can, you know, avoid them enough, unless they're buy items and you want to get them. You can kind of quickly get in there and do it. You can stealth kill in this game. But it doesn't happen often. I was able to do it a bit in the. I didn't even realize you could do this until I just happened to go up behind one and whale them, and they went down in one shot from behind. I was like, okay, you can do that a little bit. It's not something you're like going to be doing constantly in the game. At least I couldn't. But it kind of sucks when there's a lot of enemies, like in the Otherworld Hospital. You get 3 of them gang up on you, and if you're using the dodge and you're backed in the corner, you're just dodging into the wall, you're going to get just wailed on, and you might as well just end it there, because you're going to waste all your health and just keep getting wailed on. Even if you get through it, you're going to be low on supplies because you had to sit there and deal with 3 of them. Because sometimes there'll be a nurse, then there'll be one of the, you know, the straitjacket kind of demons going around on the ground, and then another nurse appears, or mannequins doing its thing. The mannequins will hide and stuff in places, and it won't go off. The radio won't go off if they're still, and they will run and hide too in spots. So they got me a lot on the jump scares in that point. It was still working at the end, even up until like the hotel, but I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to walk into a room. There's going to be one there. I'm going to waste the ammo or just get hit a few times, because they will literally come out of nowhere. Boss fights were fantastic. The boss fights, in my opinion, are better in this one. Not that would take much, because the original boss fights, they were very clunky and stuff. I mean, the original controls were clunky. They were almost meant to be in a way. But the Abstract Daddy boss fight is fantastic in this one. It's really good. The Eddie fight is good, and they're different. Like, they're different battles across the board. The only one that's really this completely the same is the two Pyramid Heads fight, and the one when Laura locks you in the room. I forget the name of that monster. Locks you in the room and it comes down from the ceiling. Although it was just two in the original, and it's very tight quarters. In this one, it's just one, but the area is bigger. But you'll hit it, and then like a part of it will break off a metal piece, and then it'll come at you and stuff. The end fight in the game is also kind of similar to that, but it's like only multi-leveled. You like fall down to a thing, you're running around. So that one's different. The first Pyramid Head fight is in a different area than the original. And you can avoid him like in the original, and just it's on a timer and you don't have to waste your. I was shooting him because I thought, and then I watched another video. I was like, I guess you don't. You could just run around for a bit and avoid him, because it's a big area. In the first one, it was tight. You had to really be like, oh my god, and the controls were not as good, so you were like, oh crap, I'm gonna get hit by the Great Knife here or whatever. In this one, though, it's a bigger area, so you can, I mean, shit, if I play through it again, I'm just going to run around and then avoid him the whole time. He's quicker in this one, but you can still, the area is so big, it's like you can just kind of avoid him, unless you get kind of a little bold and try to get close to him, just to kind of maybe get a few shots with a pipe and not waste any ammo if you want to kind of maybe speed it up a little, but still, I mean, and like I said, it looks great. And as the game went on, I kind of appreciated the graphics more. I did say they were good, but it's the filth and the grime and stuff. It's just, and the monster design has obviously always been good, even the original. There's another part, and like I said, there are more enemies, and the only time it really bothered me, and I was getting pissed, was the Otherworld Hospital. Outside of that, and when I first left the hospital, I think I was still pissed from that, so the enemies were bothering me more in main Silent Hill, in the town itself, when you run through the streets. But then I went back, played it, just kind of chilled out, and it was fine. But I think overall there's more enemies, I feel. But it wasn't a game changer, or didn't ruin anything for me. It just pissed me off in that area, and that was really it. And what was the other gripe I had? It's longer than the original, and that's not a gripe in the sense that it was realistically, like, I'm trying to think. The other game you realistically could have beaten in 4 or 5 hours, even on your first playthrough, if you really were kind of hitting everything and doing things quickly. But I think it took me maybe like 8 back then. This one, it took me 18 hours. Now, most of that was fine, but I'll admit the labyrinth area, I think there was padding there. There's time padding there. I feel like that area could have been much shorter, because you have to turn the thing, you go in the thing, you turn it, and the thing's moving, you go in. There's 3 different areas. It's like desolate, ruined, and one other one, I forget what it's called. And you got to do all 3 of these things. Not that they aren't creepy, but it was just like, okay, I want, it's padding. I feel like this is just unnecessary almost, So that was another gripe. I had a few. It wasn't nothing where I was like, I can't play this shit. Fuck it, But overall, it's fantastic. They did a lot. The combat is better. It's not like incredible combat, but the dodge helps, and it flows better than the original. It just, you'd expect it to, right? Like, it's 20 plus years later. Things get with the times. I think it made all the necessary changes. And there's, like I said, puzzles are different, things are different. Like I said, you find the collectibles. There's pictures you can find, and there's also you come across moments that, like the Pyramid Head, spoilers, on the top of the hospital roof when he throws you through the fence. Now you see the fence is there and it's busted. You don't do it there. He throws you elsewhere. So, and then that's a little collectible. You get to it, it makes a noise, a little chime, goes static, and kind of gives a different camera angle. Those are collectibles too. Things you would have done in the original game are now either not done, or they're in a different spot. Like the Pyramid Head, the first Pyramid Head fight. You go to that area in that tight quarters where the stairs or the stairwell is, and it will be like, dee or whatever it does, and then, it's a collectible. It's cool. I was disappointed, actually, in the ending I got, because this game, and this, even back then, this is kind of almost, what they were doing back then with how the ending could be affected. The 3 endings you get leave, well, the original, not the bonus endings you get after you do a new game. There's leave, the Maria one, and the in-water one, which is the suicide one. That's the one I got. And I was like, I know that, in the original, you didn't even know the game was pretty much playing you. If you healed too much, you talked to Maria too much, or you didn't protect her enough, you looked at the knife too much, you looked at Mary's photo too much, stuff like that, or the letter. it would all you didn't know it was doing this, but it would actually play into the ending you get, which is kind of nuts for the time, right? Really cool. It almost does that kind of stuff better than like the Life is Strange games do your choices or the Walking Dead's. Like you didn't even know you were doing this stuff. You were doing stuff naturally in the game back then. It was actually affecting things without even telling you, which was like, holy shit. But I thought I had to look back at the requirements. I'm like, and it was like, oh, you don't visit Marie in the hospital. I'm like, I thought that wasn't. I must have gotten my requirements wrong or they changed them. And I did heal a lot, but they're like, if you heal a lot, you'd move towards. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a leave is well, yeah, leave's the one when you leave with Laura. Marie is the one where you leave with her, and it kind of it's going to play out again the way it did with Mary. And and the immortal one, which I'm like, what? I'm like, what did I do? I didn't look at the. I think I looked at the knife once. I think I did look at the handkerchief like twice, but I'm like, man, they really. I think I looked at Mary's photo twice. So I'm like, really? Like these ones really. I was like, all right. I mean, I wasn't pissed. I was more disappointed, but all the endings make sense in the game. Like anyone that happens is almost like, all right, I can totally see why this would happen, which is cool. I mean, I might do another playthrough at some point, but this is the kind of game where I needed a palate cleanser because it's so filthy and dreadful and creepy, at least for me. So you're like, I need to play something a little more cheery and colorful. Fantastic game, though. Like I said, this has ended up being a little more of a review, but than I would have expected here. But like I said, overall, I did enjoy it. I had a few gripes, but overall, they did a fantastic job with it. I mean, listen, big shoes to follow. Most people like it. I see people complaining about it. Some of the complaints to me are weird and make no sense, and other complaints are completely justifiable, especially technical ones and stuff like that. I can understand, and even some of my gripes. But some of the other ones, I'm like, what the hell are they even talking about? It's like I think people hated it, but a lot of people were like, it was universal hate essentially when it was announced. And then I feel like some people were like, yeah, you know what, I was wrong. Some people were able to just be like, I'm happy it was awesome. I thought it was going to suck. Other people, I feel like they need to hold on to that hate because they feel obligated to, but they like secretly will play the game by themselves and love it. But they're like, I have to keep it up. I got to keep the whatever up, you know. And of course, some people are just not going to like it. And you know, that's fine too. I'm not going to sit here and say you're not allowed to like something. That's ridiculous. You are, you know, but it's almost like hate it for the right reasons, like not because a character looks slightly different or the way they don't look the way you want them to. It's like, I thought all the characters were real. And Maria actually, I think, was more well done in the original. This one, her voice acting was fine, but I don't know. It's hard to explain. Some of the delivery was weird. I thought Angela was great. James was great. Eddie was great. Laura was great as well. And Mary as well for the brief time you see in the reading of the letter and stuff. Maria's character was fine. It's just I feel like her deliveries weren't. The attitude was slightly different than the original. But overall, I mean, I love the design out of 10. I don't know if it's my like. I still like the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is probably still my top game for the year. I mean, I haven't thought a plot. I've not played a lot of games that have come out this year, admittedly. It's this, that, Death Mark 2 is one I played. I think Yakuza, I played some of Yakuza that came out. Did that come out in 24? Did that come out in 23? I don't even know. I think it was 24. But I have not played a lot this year, so I don't have a lot to go by. In terms of games that came out this year, I've played a lot of games this year, but not games that have come out in 24. Still, check it out if you're into survival horror. If you like the original Silent Hill, most likely you're not going to be disappointed in this, and especially, you know, and other people, Konami's had that track record over the past probably 15 years of either not doing shit or ruining what they have, you know, the IPs they have, and I think they, you know, hopefully this is a bounce back for them, and they continue. I'd love to see them remake the other ones over time, kind of like with the Resident Evils, but they already done 3 of them. I mean, they technically, the original was a remake too on the GameCube, but like the most recent remakes, which you get 2, 3, and 4. So, I mean, I'd love to see, personally, I'd probably almost love to see 4 first before 1, because if you do 1, you have to do 3 next, because they are connected. 4 is its own thing, too, like 2, so I'd almost and I have a soft spot for 4. 4 gets a lot of shit, and rightfully so, but the story in 4 is excellent. And it's I mean, they're all creepy, even if the gameplay of them sucks. I'm talking about the original 4. I was tempted to get Homecoming. I was tempted to get Homecoming. It's on sale on the Xbox store for like $4. I played a bunch of that back in the day. I never beat it because it was pissing me off too much. Like I was like, this is not like it was just an action horror game. Like straight up. And the thing is, I don't mind that, but the combat sucked. So it's like you're throwing a ton of enemies at me and the combat's not good. It's like if the combat's at least good, I can deal with it. I don't mind it. But they did get the vibe down in Silent Homecoming. It's just, of course, Pyramid Head was thrown in there because he was all the rage at that point. The movie had come out like maybe actually like 2 years prior, but and all of a sudden Pyramid Head's like in Homecoming. He's like all like he was always like not buff in the original, but he was a little bit awkward and like he wasn't like just like in home. If you play in Homecoming, he's like the movie. He's like ripped. He's like all of a sudden a sex symbol like Pyramid Head. You know, like, it's ridiculous. But anyway, check it out. If you're into survival horror, check it out. If you like Silent Hill, I think they did a great job. Most people the majority seems to think they did a great job. Critics and just me and other regular game players seem to have liked it. There are people that didn't, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But if you don't like something, for me personally, it's like, just tell me reasons that make sense. Not like, oh, the hair doesn't look good. I could just say something so ridiculous. Like, just tell me you didn't, for me, like I was afraid it was going to devolve into a shit ton of combat. And I was like, oh my God, please no. Realistically, it could have if I bothered, but you still in most areas can run away. Like I said, there's a few gripes, and I thought there was padding as well. You can give me other stuff too. Oh, there's also a couple of glitches I mentioned, which were annoying. Thankfully, it didn't affect my game at all in terms of time lost, and it didn't happen after the hospital. I've heard there's been other problems, though. I know they did a patch to it. Thankfully, I didn't run into any of those like game-breaking ones. So that's a legitimate problem too. Or you want to maybe complain about some of the combat and stuff like that and other things. I have technical stuff and stuff like that, graphics, some gameplay, gimme. But if it's like something weird, it's just like you're coming up with you're nitpicking too much, you know. But anyway, whatever. You know what? There's nothing wrong with any of that actually. You like it or you hate it, right? I want people to genuinely love it or hate it, like not seeming like they're just forcing either one, you know, like you're like forcing yourself to like it or hate it because you're afraid to give the other side of the it's almost like you're betraying yourself because you thought it was going to be awesome or suck before it came out, and then it's the opposite of that and you're like, no, I can't. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going on about. 9 out of 10. Like I said, I needed a palate cleanser. Actually, this was gifted to me from on my other channel, but I didn't. It was unexpected, but and I was very pleased and happy about that. I'm grateful. I don't know if that person's watches this, but thank you again on here. I did a video on the other channel about it. But it's Life is Strange: True Colors. I've played most of the first. I think I didn't play one episode of the first Life is Strange. I did Before in the Storm. I played that one, and now I'm playing this one. I'm on chapter 3, and I've not played 2. I want to get 2, season 2. Oh no, just Life is Strange 2, not season 2. I know the double exposure comes out soon. This game's pretty cool. Like I said, it is a nice palette cleanser. It's bright and colorful and stuff. I'm enjoying it. These games are slow paced, so you have to kind of want to, they can. You might, and this is all the ones that I've played in games similar to this. Sometimes you're just like, all right, let's go, because you can't skip the cutscenes here, to my knowledge, and it's like, come on, let's go. Like, enough of this. I want to do something. I want to explore the town that you're in, because you're Alex Chen here, and you start off like quickly talking, I guess, to your therapist. You're in like a group home, and then you leave to go meet your brother, who you haven't seen in 8 years, and he's in, was it Haven, Colorado, I believe it's called. Oh, it tells you the thing right on the back. I did not. I just looked at the back briefly. I didn't realize, because there is a death at the end of the first chapter, which to me was a little shocking. If I just read the back of that, I would have known it was coming. Which kind of stupid. I don't know why we put that on the back. But she's like an empath, so she can feel and then see the energy. It's either like they're afraid or they're happy or they're angry or whatever it is. And she, like, all of a sudden, if she gets too close to the person, she like absorbs it and then is feeling and seeing what they feel. And obviously that's the hook of the game. And, even in the regular part when you're exploring the town or whatever, you can go up to people and hit A and see, you can hear what they're feeling and stuff. It doesn't like, but she's like bugging out. She's like, oh no, what's happening? And there's like in the beginning, the first episode, the kid, Gabe, her brother is dating this woman, Charlotte. He's not the father of the kid, but he's dating. He's like the stepdad, he's loving it, likes the kid a lot, everything. But the kid goes off to like the mines or something, and you got to go up and save him. It's you, him, and this other guy, Ryan, Gabe, Alex, and Ryan. And that's where you have to cross like this little log. The kid's stuck and he's afraid to come across, and you have to like absorb his kind of fear and then feel and see what he's saying and stuff. And then you can also help people in the town with this when if you scan them. I call them scan them. And then they say the one woman was like, "Oh, I don't, I should jog. I don't want to though." Blah, blah, blah. And Alex is like, "Maybe I'll motivate her." And then you say something to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." And makes her they cheer. You can cheer the people up, and you piece together some parts with other people as well, and help them out that way. Steph, right here I liked her character. She was in Before the Storm as well. She was obviously still in high school at that point. And she's still doing the LARPing stuff and then the Dungeons and Dragons type stuff in this one. That's playing a part in this game as well, as it did in Before the Storm. It was her and was it the kid the same age or was he a little younger? I forget. He was the brother of another character in that game, and he really liked that kind of stuff, the D&D type stuff, and that you do, it's in that game as well. I liked Before the Storm quite a bit, actually. The characters are all fine in this. It's just, is it coming from Silent Hill with that natural dialogue and conversations and a bit awkward conversations that seem more real? These games in general, I feel like all the main characters in these Life is Storm, I've not played Season 2 yet, but Chloe and Max and now Alex, they all have almost a similar attitude, at least by how they talk and what they're saying when you like look at things in the environment and in their little kind of thought bubble type thing. They're saying something in their head to themselves. Like it comes across as just, I don't know, like almost cheesy. Like people talk like this. Like it's all the dialogue across these games is so similar and the characters seem so similar. Now, in the case of Steph, she's coming from another game, so that makes sense. But so many of them, it's like, I don't know, it almost feels like you're playing the same game repeatedly, just different hooks in them. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm enjoying this fine. There's little things, collectibles you can find too. You hit the A button, you get a little kind of backstory to things. And the characters are all fine. It's just some of their conversations seem so, like, the dialogue is like really like people conversing like this. Like I don't know. It just seems the dialogue doesn't flow maybe enough. Like in a Silent Hill 2, I'm using that as an example because they did that so well. The natural awkward dialogue of people that have not met yet and they finally do, and you're kind of like, oh, what's going on? Like, and this is just like, oh yeah, we've been buddies. Oh, here's a little quip for you and all this. I don't know. It's weird to me. It's hard to explain. Maybe someone else can explain it better than me. But I still do like these games. I just like the environments they throw you in, and most of the stories are solid. This one's got a mystery story now after your brother dies here at that accident on the mountain. Well, it was on purpose. Spoilers. You're trying to solve the mystery, which is cool. I do like the stories of this. I don't know if anybody here yet has the kind of connection that Max and Chloe have in the original and stuff. And even Chloe and I forget her name, and Before the Storm, she disappears. That's a prequel to the first Life is Strange, and she disappears. And the spoilers, you find out she did die. It's almost kind of like throw away the fact, like she's such a big character in Before the Storm, but Before the Storm came after, it was made after. It's almost such a throwaway thing in the original. It's kind of like, what? Like, oh yeah, she's dead. Like, oh my god, you'd think it would be more big deal. But the problem is you made this game after that one. And you're probably like, oh crap, it almost comes across as like, whatever, But I forget her name. But there was a good chemistry there too. I'm not getting a massive amount of great chemistry between the characters in this one as opposed to those two. That one, the dialogue was still a little, but the chemistry between the characters in those other games, at least the main characters, was really good. And they're pretty emotional games overall too, I mean, they're not like Silent Hill 2 emotional, but but they are good, And I don't know. It's like I said, it's a nice change of pace. Although they sometimes can be extremely slow paced. These games, to where you're just like, okay, I just want to do something. You can stop talking now. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. And music is a hook in this one. You got a lot of indie songs in here and stuff, and a lot of music being played and talking about music. And there's some little side quests you can do too. They're very brief, but it's exciting. I want to see where the mystery goes, though. I will say the stories in these games are still solid, even if I don't think all the people. It's not even the voice acting is fine. It's just some of the dialogue is just kind of. It just seems like fake conversations to me. They seem like fake, almost perfect conversations. You know, everybody knows the right thing to say, and everything. Like, you know, it's just it's not natural enough and awkward with actual conversations. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it's hard for me to explain. Maybe one of you can explain it better. But yeah, it's still a solid game. If you like the Life is Strange games, I mean, check this out. The new one's coming out soon. I couldn't believe this one came out in 21. I thought it was like last year. But I do want to get season 2 as well. But yeah, that's just what I've been playing here, and a quick kind of review of Silent Hill 2 remake. And thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.